Hey guys, so I saw this video in my recommended today. I haven't watched it yet. Saw that it premiered like a day or two ago, so I'm just gonna watch it and react to it because I don't want to do work. And this is frankly something I've been engaging in the debates about for a bit now, and I just want to see how somebody managed to talk about this for 47 minutes straight. So let's watch it, I guess. Wrong button.
I'm better than
Oh, my audio is routed to the wrong source. I want it in my headphones, not my speakers.
I'm better than them, but they won anyway. This is the cope heard around the world. Humans don't like losing.
No shit.
But what we hate even more than losing is accepting that some people are better than us.
Truly a pride issue.
No shit.
So we'll usually tend to do this unfortunate psychological strategy of
Is he using the background footage from that weekly slap video with Mr. Beast and Jay Schlatt? Because I recognize this device as being mentioned by Mr. Beast and Jay Schlatt, and I looked it up after listening to that video. He's just ripping straight from the weekly slap. What an absolute knobhead.
of invalidating skills. I might not be able to beat this guy in a 1v1, but that's just because he's a defensive player and he can run faster than me. I can make more free throws, I'm still the better basketball player. And of course,
No, you're just specialized in different skills, I suppose.
wouldn't you know it, this attitude is quite common in the loving, supporting community of first-person shooters. I remember back to one specific day when me and my friend were playing Splitgate back when it was popular. My friend was repeatedly complaining about people killing him with the shotgun. He complained that not only does the shotgun one-shot you, but it has a very forgiving spread, requiring it to take very little
Just to
skill
remind you that you're watching it. That's kind of funny.
use, which would be a very valid complaint to have. But there is one small issue. We were playing a shotgun-only game mode.
Wow.
Yeah, the shotgun might not take great aim skill to use, but it's the same aim skill for you and them. Despite this, he was still convinced that the people who were killing him had no skill. But it wasn't as if the winners of fights were completely random. I was consistently top scoring, and he was consistently bottom scoring. If it was random, there would be no consistency. I was able to do so much better than him because I've played a lot of really stupid stealth-based characters in video games. So this made me much better at positioning and stealth. But to
Yeah.
my friend at the moment, this wasn't really a skill that mattered, one that counted. He was better at aiming than me, so the fact that there was a game mode where I could do better than him kind of upset him. No aim, no brain.
Hey man, skill issue, right? It sounds very positive for a video about Sniper, and the thumbnail and title very much seems to be anti-Sniper, so I'm hoping that this is pro-Sniper? If so, that is a pleasant surprise considering that I thought this was going to be a very negative video.
In the galaxy of invalidating skills and FPS, aim stands out as the one thing you can't invalidate. It makes sense when you think about it. It's a first-person shooter. It's the thing you do in the game.
Yeah.
If you don't like aiming, why aren't you playing a different genre?
I valued aiming so much to the point where I was playing 100% crit servers just to like purely focus on my aim. And man, you can get real salty because you forget sometimes that every shot from just about anything will kill you. And it's not your fault. It's the guy has better aim across a really large map. The map, by the way, was like the 5 control point orange map. That weird unfinished looking map where there's a red base and a blue base and a big orange tower in the middle of them. Sightlines for days, right? But man, people can still juke out the snipers. I still was able to do it. Outsnipe the snipers, move better as a scout. Engineering on that was a nightmare, though. And of course, there's spy.
It's also a considerably easier skill to quantify. But do you ever notice how it sometimes feels like people would rather be playing competitive aim trainer? You die to a 2v1 because you have no concept of team play? Doesn't matter, I'm still better. You die to an enemy you don't see because you're not paying attention. Doesn't matter, I'm still better. You die to a grenade you completely ignore. Doesn't matter, I'm still better.
I swear, I've done this so much in Team Fortress Classic a little bit, but then also in Pre-Fortress 2 where they have grenades. It's like, if you don't pay attention, you'll get blown up by a grenade. It's just... And then people are like, oh, but you're just spamming them. And it's like, well, they are tools to be used. Sorry that you got outplayed.
As long as people are willing to believe that they're better at aiming than their opponent, they will write off all their deaths as cheap kills that didn't really matter. Aim truly is king. And if you
Truly.
look at the most...
That's why cheating in first-person shooter games is so egregious, because it's just, you take the aim out of it and all of a sudden you are, you know, make the whole thing pointless. It's not about skill anymore.
Most hated weapons in first-person shooters: shotguns, SMGs, flamethrowers, rocket launchers. They're all weapons perceived as having low aim skill. They are...
Nah, not really. You need aim tracking for a flamethrower, especially if the guy's widening the gap between you both. And rocket launchers, you need to figure out where to place the rocket at least for blast jumping. So, they do have less aim potentials than SMGs and pistols and stuff.
Are so hated, in fact, that it is usually considered a failure on the developer's part if they're even usable at high-level play. Which is even worse, because it means in most games, they're hated...
Wait, hang on, I must have missed the context here.
...shooters is king. And if you look at the most hated weapons in first-person shooters: shotguns, SMGs, flamethrowers, rocket launchers, they're all weapons perceived as having low aim skill. They are so hated, in fact, that it is usually considered a failure on the developer's part if they're even usable at high-level play. Which is even worse, because it means in most
That's a pretty
games,
stupid argument.
they're hated despite being objectively terrible.
Seriously, yeah. Yeah.
So if I've taught you anything in the last few minutes, it's this. People hate blaming themselves for losing, and aim is king. Because of this, the most hated option in any given game is the one that requires the least aim skill. So now, I have...
Oddly enough, it can be both ways. The most hated option can be the one with the least aim skill or the one with the most aim skill, because you can always get out-aimed, which I'm assuming is what he's going to talk about when he finally gets around to Sniper.
Ask you this. If all of this is true, and I know it is, why is Sniper the most hated class
Here we
in
go.
Team Fortress 2?
The one exception, yes sir.
Sniper is by far the most hated class in the entirety of TF2, and it really isn't even close. The hate
Seriously.
other classes get has been bad before, but never as bad as Sniper. I mean, modern Sniper literally has videos dedicated to why he himself is a bad addition to the game. But this is strange, right? Sniper is a class that takes a lot of aim skill. I mean, sure, a lot of games have hated sniper rifles, but the overwhelming...
Most realistic shooter games, and I'm not saying that TF2 is realistic, but if you go to any other shooter game, like most of the time it can be as realistic within its own sense as it possibly can be. Like even in Halo, right? There are weapons that headshot, right? But even if you go to like Counter-Strike or Call of Duty, right? Pretty much every weapon headshots if you know how to use it, right? Because that's how real weapons work. And sniper rifles are the only weapons designated to headshot in any other kind of game. But that's the fault of the rifle for existing for some reason. And for context, for my annoyance, right? I have a copy of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the 2019 one, that I used to play with a friend of mine before he went to the Air Force, and he would always outplay me because I don't play realistic shooters and I don't play on controllers. And he would always be headshotting me, always headshot me. He would always find a way to kill me. And it was really frustrating. And because I kept playing like a Doom player and he's playing, using his brain.
Pattern of hated sniper rifles is that they can one-shot you whether they hit you in the head or not. So more often than not, people will say they take less aim skill. This is not the case with Sniper.
True.
Who actually has a bigger downside for missing a headshot than most snipers in video games. Usually, crits will do 1.5 or 2 times damage. In TF2, they do 3 times damage.
Yes.
And since snipers in basically every video game are balanced around getting headshots, not body shots, this means Sniper is very punishing if you're not good at aiming. In fact, he probably has the highest skill floor of any class in Team Fortress 2.
Totally. And it's super dumb that I actually started with him as my first class, too. I didn't want to play any of the other classes. I started playing Sniper, and then I gravitated to Scout. Because of the speed, and then I went back to Sniper.
It's very hard to invalidate the skills of a sniper player that killed you. Because of this, it's very unusual that Sniper is the most hated class in Team Fortress 2. It'd make much more sense for the most hated class to be something like Pyro. And in fact, it was for a long time. It might be hard for a lot of new-gen TF2 players to picture how hated Pyro used to be. But it was bad. And
that's unjustified too. Pyro, it doesn't matter if Pyro doesn't have, like, the aim potential. It's like saying that every other class in the game, aside from Demo Man and Soldier, can't blast jump. It's like, because it's not their job. They are constructed around the ideas of having certain tasks to do and executing them in very certain ways. That's why the class dynamic is so diverse. You have a fast boy. You have 2 blast damage dealers. You have a damage tanker and a flamethrower. You have robots shooting at you built by some dude. You have a guy that can go invisible. You have a healer, and you have a long-range shooter. You have everyone to do every kind of job you can possibly think of. It's like any hate towards any class is completely invalid if it needs to go to that extreme. And this is coming from a guy who hates both playing and playing against Demo Knights. I think it is the most unfun type of class to play in TF2, but that doesn't matter because I'm not good. I'm not good at playing him, and I'm not good at countering him, and that's my problem, and I gotta get better. I don't want swords removed from the game.
He fits the bill basically perfectly. And I play a lot of Pyro, but I'm not gonna defend this thing as being hard to aim with. An amoeba could use it. The usual pattern of skill invalidation fit perfectly. But Pyro's not the most hated.
He's not
anymore.
using his shotgun.
So what changed exactly? Well, the rise of sniper hate definitely helped take a lot of the heat off Pyro.
Yeah, but that was brought about large in part from the bot crisis because people finally realized that Sniper can technically do all of the things that the bots did, but in reality, it's like 1 in 100 really that you get somebody that good. I only ever experienced somebody that good one every like maybe 50 to 100 matches.
Oh, that's for sure.
And that's because nobody wants to play as Sniper because aiming with him is difficult. It is the highest skill floor, and that's good. Leave it to the professionals, I guess.
Sure, but for me, the thing that helped fix Pyro's image the most was that he got better. Now, this seems really counterintuitive. Wouldn't making a class better make them more hated? I mean, people were already saying
It depends on what you mean by better.
he's overpowered. Wouldn't this have just added gas to the fire?
There I am, Gary, there I am!
But this actually makes a lot of sense if you start thinking about it. You see, Pyro used to be really bad. This is especially apparent if you look at his developer commentary.
The Pyro is designed to be the best short-range combat class, aimed at encouraging players to adopt an ambush style of play. To achieve this, we made the Pyro vulnerable in the open, which forces players to seek out enclosed areas and doorways. To add to the Pyro's short-range lethality, we made the flamethrower effects visually noisy, which helps disorient opponents long enough for the flames to finish them off.
Yeah, Valve, balancing a class around assuming their opponents are gonna shit their pants and cry out of confusion every time they get into an interaction is definitely a great idea. Pyro wasn't just bad.
Well, admittedly, as a scout running around a corner and suddenly seeing a Pyro, I am intimidated because I know I'm toast. Like, there's no getting out of that situation, really. Unless he's already at low enough health to where I can shoot him effectively. But most of the time I just run because I know I'm not going to survive Afterburn for very long if he has the flamethrower on me for longer than, like, 2 seconds.
Bad. He was bashing your head against a rock bad. His flamethrower was considered worse than the shotgun. Because of this, for a while...
Really? Wow. I like the flamethrower.
Once players got to a certain proficiency with aiming, Pyro just became obsolete.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
Which is funny considering that, like, most of the... I see a lot of Pyros when I play.
Basically, combo Pyro was the only way you could play Pyro, and at the end of the day, a combo is just doing what other classes do, but with more work. Alright, so here's what you gotta do. First, you need to puff them with the flames of the flamethrower. Then you need to blast them into the air with the air blast, and then you switch to the flare gun, and if you get a perfect shot, a direct hit, you'll do a whopping 90 damage.
Yeah, and it definitely encouraged a lot more skill when it came to Pyro, because you could try to pull stuff off like that. People complain sometimes about needing skill to exist in order for a class to be even remotely viable, but that's... What are you going to do? Complain about it?
Okay, so here's what you gotta do. Shoot the ground kind of in front of them, and then you'll do 90 damage. Because Pyro just ended up being more work, it makes sense that most people would just switch mains when they got good enough. But then, Jungle Inferno happened. Hailed to the masses as the update that would finally fix Pyro. It didn't. But it did make Pyro undoubtedly a lot better. Using the flamethrower is just a lot more effective now. Air Blast is way more versatile, and it finally has a higher DPS than the shotgun. I feel like it might be hard to picture how unpopular Pyro used to be, but
yeah, it is, because I only started playing in like 2022, 21-ish, so I have no perspective on this. This is a good history lesson.
I was there. I started playing TF2 just after Jungle Inferno. And if you look at the YouTubers from that time, there's like no Pyro mains. There's barely any Pyro secondaries. Pyro Joe barely played Pyro. Pyro Joe! Now it feels like...
That sounds like Space Guy Online saying that he's a sniper main, but only having like 3 videos about sniper.
we have way more people who play Pyro. Pyro after Jungle Inferno is not perfect, but I think he's good enough. Good enough that he doesn't just feel like a worse option than other classes. And now, overall in TF2, he's the 4th most popular class, with a staggering drop-off between him and Demo. And I think that's the reason he's a lot less hated now. Don't get me wrong, every once in a while you will find an old head who still hates Pyro. But now you'll see a bunch of people defending Pyro in the comments of whatever posts they made. That really used to not be the case. But at the end of the day, skill invalidation has always been a grass is always greener type deal. But if people actually know the color of your grass, well then you don't get hated as much. Like sure, an amoeba can use the flamethrower, but a fish could use the rocket launcher. And you have to be at least a monkey to air blast well. By the way,
Surely.
this video is still about Sniper. But so, what happened? Why this shift from pyro hate to sniper hate? You see,
Trendy.
I have a theory about this video game.
Aw, rest in peace.
You see, TF2 isn't like your other average first-person shooters.
True,
Think
true.
back to what I said earlier in this video.
Oh, that's convenient.
Aim truly is king. And if you look at the most hated weapons in first-person shooters, shotguns, SMGs, flamethrowers, rocket launchers, these weapons and weapons like them are all pillars of Team Fortress 2. It says a lot about the game's design principles that the default secondary weapon isn't a pistol, it's a shotgun.
I like how
If
use
you
the Doom
don't
guy,
like weapons like the
pistol.
shotgun or rocket launcher, you're going to hate this game. Team Fortress 2 used to be the class-based shooter. I just need to interrupt this video real quick, because you see I looked up class-based shooters on Google, you know, for like images and videos and whatnot, for like references and stuff. Anyways, the first result is a
Hero
Wikipedia article labeled Hero Shooter.
I hate Overwatch, man. What have you done to this culture?
But this article just goes to prove my point, because Team Fortress 1 is mentioned in the first paragraph, and Team Fortress 2 is mentioned in the second. It was the option to play if you liked class-based shooters. Now, to be fair, this Wikipedia article is genuinely probably the worst Wikipedia article I have ever seen. It is only about 6 paragraphs and doesn't mention garden warfare at all, which might seem a little silly to you that I'm complaining about that, but considering garden warfare is the first class-based shooter to have character-specific abilities and it came out a full year before Overwatch was even announced, it's pretty ridiculous that it's not even mentioned in this article. But my original point before I got completely sidetracked is this. If you want to play a different class-based shooter, you can. They exist. So the only reason you keep playing TF2 is if you really enjoy the design.
I wouldn't call Overwatch a class-based shooter as much as it is a, I'm not entirely sure what to call it because it kind of muddles the genres, but I wouldn't call it that.
Design principles of the game. It hasn't been updated in so long. It's not the new hot thing on the block. So the only reason you
Honestly, yeah, people complain
because
so much about Sniper. I think this clip that he's been playing under this video describes it perfectly. It's just, people complain so much about dying to the Sniper. Meantime, the Sniper is rejoicing over the fact that he got a kill at all. This guy's been sitting here for like a solid minute just to pick off like one guy and like one assist maybe. Like, he hasn't even shot at somebody. He's just been peeking the same sightline over and over and over again because his team keeps killing people inside with all the explosive spam. And they should. That's their jobs. It's just that, like, sometimes snipers scrounge for kills, and they most of the time steal kills from other classes. And that's all they can ask for.
you genuinely enjoy it. And that's why, despite how annoying the TF2 community
See, that scout died just before he could actually get the shot through. Like, man's begging for kills right now.
can be at times,
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy. You get your goddamn ugly ass on.
the one thing we do genuinely have over games like Overwatch is we actually like our game. And I think really that
Truly.
gets to the core of why Sniper is now the most hated class in Team Fortress 2.
Where's gonna go
Everyone
with
left
this?
playing the game genuinely enjoys TF2's game design. And Sniper is the least TF2 class. Simply put, Sniper breaks more game design principles than any other class.
No, he doesn't. No, by nature of being in the game and being one of the 9 classes since launch, he is a part of the... What did you call it?
And Sniper is the leading principles, then
He is part of the design principles by nature of existing since its inception. He always has been part of the design principles. That doesn't make any sense.
any other class. Sniper has the longest range of any class in the game.
No shit.
Now, of course, this is fairly obvious, and it'd be kinda stupid if it wasn't true. But the issue with Sniper in Team Fortress 2 isn't that he has the best range, it's the absolute chasm between him and second place. In just about every FPS, the Sniper
So what? He doesn't need to be in the same airspace as the rest of his teammates. That's not his job, and it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be.
is the best long-range weapon. Duh. But most games will also have some sort of assault rifle or revolver, you know, one that's good, to help bridge the gap. Yeah, sure, these weapons are definitely not as effective as a sniper rifle, but they can at least challenge one. TF2 does not have these types of weapons. There are weapons that only work in close range, weapons that are only effective in close range, weapons that can be used at medium.
That is part of the design principle then that you should be complaining about. Is that the spread of the bullets on the shotgun aren't as tight as they should be. If you want to complain about a design principle, complain about that. But even that is invalid because it doesn't... It doesn't really hold much ground when you consider that's kind of how shotguns regularly work. Although, to be fair, TF2 has some pretty wide bullet spread for a shotgun, but...
medium range, but really want you to use them in close range. Weapons...
You kidding me? Rockets can be used in long range. I can fire rockets downstream all I want. Whether they connect or not isn't the point, but it does connect, and sometimes I get a kill. A kill that I don't see, and people complain about me. People complain about it, and no, it's not a random crit. It's like, whatever, I got a kill.
that work just fine in close or medium range. Absolutely, literally nothing that works well in medium to long range. And then finally, we have the sniper rifle. Every
Counter with another sniper rifle, then.
other gun in the game is designed for close range, medium to close range, and very rarely medium range, which heavily exacerbates the issues that lead to the next point.
False. And I'm gonna get to that.
Every class in the game has a counter. Pyro
Yes.
is weak to heavy. Scout is weak to...
No. Every class can be weak to everyone else. It's just that most classes typically function better fighting other classes because they know that that is their job. Pyro counters Soldier and Demo Man really well because of the air blast and how he can turn their projectiles back onto him. Scout is really good against medics and pyros to some degree. Engineers are both really good and really weak against pretty much everybody else. Sniper counters heavy because with a medic and heavy combo, it's very difficult otherwise, unless you're like bombing the crap out of them, to actually, you know, kill them.
to engineer. Demo is weak to scout, but
Demo's not really weak to scout. I've died a lot to Demo Men as a scout because my muscle memory tends to have me move around erratically enough to where I run into their pills instead of them actually aiming well, but sometimes they aim well. And that's just like, okay, I died. You know, I was messing with the Demo Man. I was asking for it. Scouts are basically just spies, but more annoying because they don't go invisible. And getting blown out by a scattergun that you didn't know was there is hilarious.
Sniper has no counter.
No, he has like 3 off the top of my head.
He is weak to every class in close range and strong to every class in long range.
Yeah, because that's his job.
Now, Spy is supposed to counter Sniper,
Because he does.
but thanks to the added Spy invalidation
Shoot him!
9000, that just isn't true.
Oh, yeah, because a thing exists. Oh, no, I can't get creative and figure out a way to kill the sniper. What is wrong with people nowadays? Do they not remember that Spy has a gun? Just walk up to him like you would anybody else, pull your revolver out, and shoot him. If the sniper is the priority target that you need to pick off the sniper, and if you die for it, you got the sniper. Your team can actually relax. Okay, your sacrifice was worth it.
If a sniper is playing behind the team, like, you know, snipers do, the only class that can actually challenge him without having to go through sentries and the entire enemy team is...
You have to go through the entire enemy team anyway if you want to get frags. Now, this entire argument is predicated and based on the idea that like, you're ignoring everyone else. This is purely in a vacuum. You have to get through people to kill other people anyways. You have to get through a pyro and a soldier and a demo man and a heavy to get to the medic. Okay? And that is really inconvenient for a lot of people, for a lot of the classes they play, because sometimes it's just not possible. Sometimes the defense is too strong. Sometimes the medic is just very well protected. That's what the sniper is for. That's what the spy is for as well. And they both do that job really well. Spy sometimes has a lot of difficulty with that, because if people are protecting their medic like they should, then spy checking is such a frequent thing that he can't get close. That's why the sniper is there. He is there to help his team take out the priority target. And then he becomes the priority target. So you take care of him with spy and scout, because believe me, flanking around enemy teams in order to get snipers as scout is really fun. But that is also entirely map dependent. And, you know, there's whole nuances and things outside of the vacuum that people are not taking into account when they talk about this. Golly.
Is another sniper. This makes attempting to...
You have your counter option, and you're complaining about having the option because it's the same class as the one you want to destroy. Dude, I go as soldier to destroy other soldiers because I know that that's the best chance I've got. Do people not do that? You don't go as spy to counter scout because he moves too fast. You go as, like, some other class, or scout. I go as scout to counter scout because, frankly, scout duels are hilarious. I love them. But, man, do people just not enjoy being creative?
Counterpick a good sniper basically impossible, because it's almost guaranteed that they're as...
No, it's not. You just get better. Get better. You showed earlier in the video. Where was it? Where's your little chart? Where is it? I don't remember where it was. Gosh darn it. Where's that chart where he had the Oh, never mind. He had that chart with the class scaling, right? And the skill floor versus the skill ceiling. And snipers was this small. He has a very high skill floor, which he already proved is very difficult to get it's very difficult to introduce someone new to the game through sniper. That was a mistake that I made, I think, but I don't necessarily regret it. And the skill ceiling isn't that much higher, but you're making it seem like it's higher than soldiers. It's not. You're just not good. You're just not good. Like, it, in any other death, in any other circumstance, of course, ignoring random crits, you think to yourself, yes, I can learn from this. I can grow from this. I can acquire skill. I know what I did wrong. But you don't think that about the sniper for some reason. Like, geez, my own girlfriend has been playing the game now for, like, not even that long. She mains medic, the priority target. And every time she dies to a sniper, it is so weird to see her say, man, that was good. I should have known better. Because she should have known better. And she has adjusted her playstyle to fit the knowledge that there are going to be literally everyone after her. There's going to be... everyone on the enemy team is going to be after her. And that's the point. And snipers kill her more than any other class in the game, and that's how it's supposed to be. Because that's their job. That's the risk you take by playing a shooter game. You're going to get shot. And people are like, oh, but it kills me instantly. And it's like, yeah, well, people don't have a problem with that when Scout's meat shot you. You know? Or you're on half health and a soldier has, you know, killed you out of nowhere as you're just trying to run back to base and you don't see anybody. You know, you've got all these situations that you're taking all the nuance out of, and you're just throwing it all in a vacuum because it conveniently fits your argument. I'm sick and tired of it.
But thanks to the app, if a sniper is playing behind the team, they challenge him with
okay,
basically impossible because it's almost guaranteed that they're a sniper main and you're not. And this is why I think sniper is the easiest class to pub stomp with.
No. I have had more luck pub stomping with engineer and pyro and scout than sniper. But then again, this becomes purely anecdotal because it's not... The experience is not global. I know people who think that the Demo Man is the most broken class in the game and really should have a rework, which he doesn't. Again, you just need to get good. Because he has 2 primary weapons. He's the only class in the game with 2 primary weapons. And it's like... I don't know what to tell you, man. Nobody complains about Demo Man. A couple people complain about Demo Knight, but it's not nearly as much as Sniper. But we're going to ignore that, I guess.
You see, if you start doing too good with any other class, people will counterpick you and they'll focus fire you.
Yeah, because that's what you do. By being good, you're the priority target because everyone wants to take the good player down. It's an ego boost, and that's also how games work. The good players are the priority targets, regardless of what they're playing.
This is good because it leads to a sort of self-balancing effect.
Yeah.
Nobody really likes roles. But Sniper cannot be counterpicked, and if he's playing behind his team...
Not true. Refer back to my prior argument.
He cannot be focus fired. This leads to the oppressive feeling that you can't do anything.
No, I can do things. I could play Sniper, I could play Spy, I can play Scout. Yes, Scout can counter Sniper. Oh, shoot. There's a mouse in here. Oh, he ran away. Huh. I'll have to take care of that later. Sniper can invalidate his own weaknesses. This could go really, really badly.
In a similar vein to class counters, every class
I don't think you can shoot through that little wall right there.
has an exploitable weakness. Scout is weak in tight areas where he can't successfully dodge well. Soldier is weak on low ground where he gets denied splash rockets. And Heavy, well, Heavy can just kind of be avoided. Sniper is the best long-range class, and he has no bad matchups at long range.
Not true. Well, long range, yeah, but that's not relevant. If we're talking about matchups at all, there's a few. The point of a sniper is to be difficult to fight at long range, because then you have an opposing sniper who can take him down. You know, fight the long range duels for you.
So, of course, to balance this, Sniper basically can't win any fights up close.
It's very, very difficult. Yes. The Girardi in Bushwhacker makes it easier, and the Carbine in Bushwhacker, but most people don't really do that. It can be pretty difficult to win at close range, because quickscoping is such, especially at close range, quickscoping is such a difficult skill, because the point of quickscoping, and Fat Magic talked about this in El Maxo's video on 100 Days of Sniper, I think, is that the best way to aim with Sniper is to already have your crosshair on someone's head and then scope in and then shoot, because you want to have as minimal movement as possible, because the more movement you have, the less control you have over the sniper rifle. Because anyone who's played Sniper knows this, the scope doesn't move with your mouse in the same way that being out of scope moves with the mouse. And so you want to have as little movement as possible so that your accuracy can be as close as possible. And that's always been a problem for me, because I have this really bad tendency to flick a lot. And so I try to do these flick shots with sniper like it's impressive or something, and it doesn't do anything for the gameplay, and it just winds up killing me. Or I stutter too much because when I'm in that high-pressure situation of trying to kill a priority target, I actually press down harder on the mouse pad with the mouse, which crunches my aim, and then I undershoot. And it gets even worse at close range because at that point, like, if you don't hit that quick scope, you're dead. You're dead. And those close range scenarios typically happen when a scout is able to outmaneuver you. On this map that he's playing, there are two different ways that a scout can get to the sniper on the top of the building. One of them is to go through the... If you're in blue spawn, one of them is to go through the right doors. Well, both of them are to go through the right doors, and one of them is to drop down into the dried up river, and the other one is to go through the... Oh wait, but the shutter door isn't open until the shutter door isn't actually open until the first point is capped, at which point the sniper would be over there. Okay, sorry. There's only one flank route, right? Is to go through the dried up riverbed. And because a sniper can't focus on all of his targets at once, he's probably picking off the higher damage classes. He's probably picking off guys like the soldier or the heavy or stuff like that. And so the scout can maneuver through that riverbed, get around the team because engineers don't put their sentries by the first point. And he can walk around and he can climb up the building and just shoot him in the back with the force of nature or the scattergun, and he's dead. He's dead, and there's no counterplay because you can just sit behind him and just go bang, bang, he's dead. That's on this map alone, there is a perfect way to deal with a scout up close. And the reason I'm a sniper up close, right? Because in an up close confrontation, right? You bring the confrontation to him. You don't meet each other in the middle like every other class. You have to meet him. You have to actually take the fight to him. And that is something that snipers always dread because they know they're entirely ineffective. Like, they will die if that happens. Unless you're using the huntsman and you just really know how to fire it. But that is in and of itself is its own skill. And the reason I'm bringing this all up right now is because I know that he's going to say something about quickscoping and how the sniper can do stuff that is very difficult to do in situations that suddenly elevate the pressure from, oh, look, I'm just sitting in a building, to, oh my gosh, how did this scout get behind me? The same with spies.
Right? Well, a quickscope headshot that can be done at any range and takes 0.2 seconds.
I hate hearing this. Yes, you can, but it's so difficult. And most snipers take about 0.8 to 1.3 seconds just to fire their gun anyways because they have to realign their shot after firing. Snipers aren't bots.
Does 150 damage, which instantly kills 5 of the 9 classes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's... And Spy's knife can kill all of the classes. And it's like, oh, but he has to get in really dangerous situations to do that. Yeah, because that's his job. That's his job. I don't see what's so difficult to comprehend about this. The different classes do their different jobs. Wow. A sentry gun can kill, a level 3 sentry gun can kill pretty much all of the classes if they round the unsuspecting corner, you know? If you're not aware enough. It's all about self-awareness, really. It's literally all about self-awareness and your surroundings.
And if you quick switch from your sniper rifle to your SMG, you can kill every remaining class that isn't heavy in just under 1 second.
The bullet spread on the SMG cannot allow for that in long-range situations, right? Because people will typically use this argument as... they will typically use this argument in favor of why sniper shouldn't be so long-range. But this argument doesn't work against long-range. So he's already assuming that the sniper is super duper good at quick scoping from like medium to long range. And even at medium range, the sniper is already under such high pressure because if a heavy somehow gets to him and then gets quickscoped, he has like 150 damage left, right? The sniper is probably going to be bobbing and weaving a lot and expecting the heavy to move around more to try to dodge the bullets. So he's going to compensate for that, right? And the bullet spread on that is wider. The heavy is just going to stand there and shoot him with his minigun, and heavies, by nature of playing heavy, because it's really his only defining trait, have decent aim tracking. So, or target tracking, I suppose. So the sniper's going to die. This has happened to me quite a few times. It's not very frequent that a heavy will get the jump on me, but it's happened.
The sniper rifle was another tricky design problem. To meet players' expectations, a sniper rifle has to be able to kill an opponent with a single shot to the head. On the flip side, we need to ensure it cannot be snap-fired from the hip with the same effect.
So that was a fucking lie.
Now, to be
0.2 seconds is not snap fire, and if it is for you, you are amazingly good, or you're cheating. Because I don't know at that point. That the skill can get pretty. Maybe it's just because there's still saltiness in my brain about bots and cheaters, you know.
To be clear, getting a quickscope headshot is really difficult. Very few people can do it consistently, especially at very close range.
Thank you.
But I don't think something being difficult is a valid reason to completely invalidate a class weakness.
Wait, what? How did you phrase that? I don't think
being difficult is a valid reason to completely invalidate a class weakness.
Something being difficult isn't a valid reason. Sorry, what?
The way I've always seen it is if two players play equally well at a decently high level, then the class who has the advantage state or is a class counter should always win.
No. No, they shouldn't always win, because if they are at the same skill level, then the other classes probably know the counter plays. There's no should about any of this.
But that's simply just not true. If you're playing Scout, you can play 100% perfectly, hit 100% of your shots, and only engage a sniper in purely point-blank close range, and you can still lose to a quickscope.
Well, not purely, but short to medium range is when he functions best, because the sniper has very little room to escape you, because that's how it works.
Headshot.
Yes, he can die to a quick scope, but does he ever? Not really. Snipers panic fire a lot because of damage flinching, which is my argument for the whole spy shooting a sniper with a razorback. If you shoot him, he will flinch fire because he doesn't know what's hitting him yet, and so he wastes time having to reload the gun and or switch to melee once he exits scope. And by the time he actually turns to you and figures out who's shooting him, you've probably already shot him with 3 shots from the stock revolver, and he's dead.
It is utterly criminal how effective this is as sniper.
He just said the quick scoping is super rare and is now complaining about how effective a quick scope can be against a scout. Literally the hardest class to quick scope. Also, I still have no idea what that sentence was.
Validate a class. I think something being difficult is a valid reason to completely invalidate a class weakness.
It's like something being difficult isn't good enough to invalidate the weakness. What does that mean? That's like... So you're saying that it is a bad argument. Something being difficult is not good enough to ignore the weakness. But it being difficult is the weakness. It's that it's really difficult. Isn't it? I must be misunderstanding his sentences.
Utterly criminal how effective this is as sniper. Take for an example the class that is probably the exact opposite of sniper, Pyro. Pyro is only effective in close range and is bad at long range. And that is always true. It doesn't matter how good you are at the video game, you are never going to effectively do damage at long range with Pyro.
That's not true. Have you seen pyros just sit across a certain part of the map and just spam flares and detonators and scorch shots into a choke point? I have. I've been that guy. It is funny. Because you see a sniper sitting way far away aiming at other people. You take your scorch shot out. You fire it at him. And because he's most likely already taken some form of damage, he gets hit by it. And he doesn't know what to do. And if it takes him a while to run to a med pack, he'll die from the afterburn. You can be long range with your flares. And that in and of itself is its own skill level that you need to be good at as well. And it's at this point where most people I've talked to would be like, oh my gosh, you attribute too much to the skill of the player. It's like, yeah, I attribute everything to the skill of the player because that's all that matters is how good you are. And how good the other guy is. If the other guy's better, get better. Figure stuff out. You have tools at your disposal to deal with certain situations. Yes, you're not going to be able to deal with 100% of all situations ever. You're not ever supposed to do that. But if you really want to deal with a situation, your determination plus a little bit of imagination goes a pretty long way, partner. I really recommend trying it. Unironically.
No matter how skillful you are.
Wait a minute. That's exactly what they do.
I know it seems like air blasting projectiles might contradict this statement, but it doesn't. Air blasting projectiles gives you some long-range lethality as Pyro.
If a soldier's shooting at a pyro already, he's probably within medium range, so it's more of a medium range tactic. Because if the projectile misses, it's probably going up into the side of a building because the air blast angles typically go up more than straight back.
But that's okay, because in order to air blast a projectile that was fired at long range, your opponent needs to make a mistake. You weren't granted that lethality at long range by your skill alone as Pyro.
Yes, you were. Because if you're not skillful enough and you whiff the air blast, then you've doomed yourself. It's also not a mistake. Your enemy just fires his projectile at you because that's what he's supposed to do. His job is to try to figure out how to make sure you don't air blast him, which is why you always want to shoot at the feet.
Your opponent needed to make a mistake. But again, you can play perfectly against a quickscope headshotting sniper and still lose at...
Again, assuming that the quickscoping even happens, which is difficult. It's difficult. And if you do lose, you got outplayed. Because that takes some really... a lot of practice to do. So if you got outplayed by a quickscope, honestly, he earned that kill, buddy.
At close range, and that's ridiculous.
No.
This is going to be a pretty short section, but it's also kind of important. You see, Spy and Sniper have the exact same role on the team.
Not really. People mistake this a lot because they typically are just simply put in the box of killing high priority targets, but in reality, Spy takes how do I phrase this? Sniper takes care of the problems that his team can see, and Spy takes care of the problems that his team can't see. If a medic has been building Uber in the back lines with his teammates for a while, and this has happened before, and he finally builds Uber and they decide to rush out of their little hidey hole, the only class that would even have a shot of knowing that would be the Spy, because he would be back there invisible watching it happen. Sniper only takes care of the things that his teammates can see and typically bails them out of some trouble. Like, he can headshot an engineer and prevent him from repairing his sentry that has been really picking at the soldier and demo man for a while, or not the demo man really, because they're a better counter to engineer, but like if a sentry has pinned down a pyro and a scout, the sniper can take care of the engineer, and the demo man can destroy the sentry and everything's cool and they can move forward. If the sentry is in an area like farther down the map past a corner where the sniper can't see it, it's the spy's job to take care of that sentry preemptively so that his team can have as little interruption in their progress as possible. And this is especially common in payload maps, although it works in 5CP as well, where things get set up ahead of time. And this is especially true in competitive play, right? So you have to set, as an engineer, you have to set your things up ahead of time. Because you always have to be thinking 3 steps ahead. And that's a skill that should not be exclusive to competitive. Everybody should be thinking 3 steps ahead. Because that's the only way to outmaneuver your enemies is intelligence. Intelligence will always win. And so spy would typically go towards the enemy spawn, for example, and see a heavy medic combo exiting spawn, or a demo medic combo exiting spawn. He would take care of the demo man. Maybe not the medic as well. Maybe he only gets the demo man, but at least he gets the demo man. And that's back to the respawn queue for the demo man. And he's going to be like, oh, how dare you backstab me after I just got out of spawn? And the spy's going to be like, haha. And he'll inform his team, hey, demo is down. You guys are still clear to push, or because they're probably already dealing with a soldier and a heavy up front, right? So you've got to think of all the scenarios when you think about this, man. There is so much nuance that you cannot make these hasty overgeneralizations. Spy doesn't actually have the same role as sniper. Everybody gets this wrong. Spy takes care of the problems his team cannot see, and sniper takes care of the problems that his team can see. And the rest of the team deals with the problems right in front of him, obviously, right? With the occasional spy checking. I don't see what's so difficult to grasp about all this.
With one very notable large problem.
This is going to be the whole everything spy can do, sniper can do better.
Anything Spy can do, Sniper does better. Sniper does everything better than Spy.
No, he can't.
Yes, he can.
No, he can't.
Yes, he can.
No, he can't.
He literally is using a part of the map which is so open you're practically begging to get shot and backstabbed at the same time. You could have proven your point with this stupid meme video like 100 different ways, but you had to do it this way. It's so unintelligent.
Better than Spy.
No, he can't.
Yes, he can.
No, he can't.
Yes, he can.
No, he can't.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can.
It's a well-known problem that Sniper is just kind of better than Spy. And I think that comes down to one major thing. Spy is a stealth-based pick class. Sniper is a long-range pick class.
As it is meant to be. Because Spy has a checklist of priorities to figure out, to pick off, before he can go in and chain stab, a medic, heavy, scout, soldier, or whatever it is, right? Like, spies just don't go right into the front lines, then backstab the first person they see, okay? That's what a lot of spy players do, not how you're supposed to play the class at all. You're supposed to get as far back as possible and then move your way up the front. That is the most convincing way to play Spy. And of course, the pros know how to time their invisibilities and their disguises to move through the ranks and go, middle rank, back, front. They're really good at that, and that's its own skill, man. I always get outplayed by that, regardless of what class I play, because man, professional spies are on another level. Oh.
And also a stealth-based pick class.
No, Sniper's not stealthy. Sniper's not stealthy because as soon as somebody figures out where you are because of the kill cam, he'll inform his team and Sniper has to reposition. And repositioning is difficult on a lot of maps because, especially on first point of most payload maps, there's really only 2 or 3 spots you can stand on, like on Swiftwater and Upward and what's another really good payload map? I'm blanking on them right now because it's really late. But most payload maps, only have 2 or 3 spots for sniper to stand on, and he has to reposition constantly. But your team will understand the general location of where the sniper is. If a spy gets away with his kill and goes invisible, the best they can do is tell you what he's disguised as, if they even know that. And so your teammate is going to be like, "Oh, spy got me," and his team is going to be like, "Great, where is he headed?" And the guy's going to be like, "I don't know," and the team is going to be like, "Well, that's helpful. At least with sniper, you know where he could be, right? You have a general idea. Spy, you have no idea where he could be going next. Of course, you have the confines of the map, but you don't really know who he's going for next, right? Unless you're watching the kill feed and seeing a chain stab occur, right? In which case, you know exactly where he is. But at that point, he's just getting frag clips, right?
If you're far enough away, people can't see you.
As he shouldn't. And if Spy does his job right, he can't see you. You can't see him either. He is always supposed to be behind you.
Because fundamentally, being invisible is not that much different than being 4 pixels on the screen.
Oh, so you just proved my point for me. They kind of do the same thing, but also not, like I explained. Being invisible is... Actually, no. Being invisible is much different than being far away, because at least far away it's in front of you, but Spy could be anywhere. And that's part of the mystery of Spy, is that he could always be anywhere. So I don't really know where he gets off thinking that this is the same thing. They're literally on 2 opposing sides of the map.
And while Spy can attack you while he's invisible, Sniper certainly can attack you while he's 4 pixels tall.
The only map I have ever played on where he's a literal 4 pixels far away is this really stupid map that I played in a Pre-Fortress 2 server, which is like this massive long area with no protection at all, because the point of the map is that to capture the flag, there's one flag and it's in the middle of the map, and there's this giant boost ramp on each side that you have to get up on to actually get the flag captured. And snipers just sit up on top, and they can't even see each other because of how far away it is that the map starts to fog up. That is a sightline to end all sightlines, and snipers can't even hit all their shots on it. It's really funny because they can't see each other.
And the worst part
So I don't know where he gets
of
off
this
with this
is
whole
that it's
business.
not even supposed to be a major strength of Sniper. They specifically gave him a laser sight so he wouldn't be functionally invisible. Unfortunately though, circumventing the laser sight is one of the easiest things imaginable. Now granted, this has a lot more to do with Spy being really bad than Sniper being really good.
Spy's not really bad. He's not. You don't play him very well. He's not. I've been playing Spy a lot recently. He's awesome. He's horrible if you don't know what you're doing, but just know what you're doing.
But I still think being impossible to pinpoint is too strong of a strength for Sniper.
It's literally easier for Spy to be more impossible to pinpoint. It's a lot easier on Koth maps, though.
Because fundamentally, being outside their sightline is the only way most classes can successfully combat a sniper. So being able to do that should at least be reasonable.
Sorry, what?
It is too strong of a strength for Sniper, because fundamentally, being outside their sightline is the only way most classes can successfully combat a sniper.
Yeah, you get clever and figure out how to get around him instead of head-on attack him like every other class in the game. Like, you head-on attack everybody else, but Spy and Sniper you don't. Because that's stupid. So you figure out how to not do that. That's why flank routes exist.
So being able to do that should at least be reasonable.
One trick pony. Here we go again.
Team Fortress 2 might not have as many classes as other class-based shooters like Overwatch, but that's okay because the classes we do have are insanely customizable. We have subclasses, hybrid subclasses, weapons to fit any playstyle, no matter how stupid. And even
True.
if you don't change your weapons, just changing where you're playing on the team will drastically change your playstyle.
Yep.
A flanking pyro will have a completely different experience than a pyro defending the pocket. You really can play however you want with whatever class you'd like. Unless that class is sniper, of course. Sniper.
So now you're defending the sniper by saying he should have more variable options like every other class, when that's not necessary at all. And also, you know what class also doesn't have a lot of options in this regard? Spy. Because all of Spy's knives do the same job, just like all of Sniper's sniper rifles do the same job. Okay? They function differently, obviously, but they all still do the same job. There's no variety there. There's no rocket jumper equivalent for the sniper or the spy. Should everybody have that option? No. Of course not. This is just becoming more and more of a case of know your place. Moron.
Sniper really only has one playstyle. Most of the unlockable sniper rifles will only really augment a few things.
Heavy only has one play style. Fat Scout is like barely a thing and only works on bad players. Because you leave a Heavy completely vulnerable when he's not using his main source of damage output. It's like Spies are one-trick ponies in that sense too. Scouts, all they do is jump around and annoy you with their scatterguns and pistols. It's like, what do you mean? Limited... You think this is a sniper-only problem? Jeez. If it wasn't for the Eureka effect, Engineer would be the exact same way.
No.
Well, the Eureka effect and the Rescue Ranger, I suppose.
On headshot damage and charging mechanics. And considering the game plan for a very skilled sniper is to barely charge the gun at all and only go for headshots, this doesn't actually change that much. And
it is really difficult to hit headshots. I don't think people understand. Like, I used to be a really good sniper, and after 2 car crashes in 6 months, my skill is completely gone. I know how to move, I know generally what to do, but I cannot hit a head. I do chip damage with body shots, and that's the best I can do because I'm lost. And that argument never gets brought up because everyone automatically assumes that a sniper is good. Never assuming that any other class is good. No, just sniper. Just sniper, because every other class is weak compared to sniper. They don't have, capabilities. They don't have skill ceilings. They can't... A sniper doesn't even have a skill ceiling, but nope, he's still really strong. Yep. That's, damn shame.
And all of his secondaries that aren't just a worse version of the SMG...
I like this! This isn't worse! That's cool! I like the carbine.
Are all passives or throwables, which actually make you play more stagnantly by only using your primary. And furthermore, Sniper is not a class you can play out of position. Trying to play Flank Sniper...
Yes, he is a class you can play out of position. You don't know how to position yourself. And the problem is that people are like, oh, well then, but positioning is such an easy thing to do as a sniper. And it's like, not really. Not really, no. Because certain aspects about a match will lure you into a false sense of security to where you think you can move up farther than you actually are supposed to, and then you get absolutely blown out. And then you're like, I did not know I couldn't move farther up. And that's because you weren't paying attention to the kill feed, or you weren't paying attention to noises on the map. And there's all these things you have to keep in your head when you do stuff like this. And I know, especially as a sniper, I want kills. And if my team is doing exceptionally well, I'm not really needed. So I want some kills. So I move forward. And in my hubris, I die for it. That happens a lot. A lot. And nobody talks about it.
Or an offensively pushing sniper is just going to get you killed. And because you only play in a few positions, and because you only use one...
The glitchy triple laser on the Machina is really funny.
...weapon, and because you play behind your team, not...
He hasn't even hit all of the headshots in this match alone. He's hit about maybe a third of them. If he really thought that it was that easy to hit a headshot, he is really not representing his case very well. But he is proving my point, right?
With your team, overwhelmingly.
This is what I do a lot.
Behind your
Watch
team,
this.
not with.
Watch this. He moves towards the heavy. He gets his crosshair close-ish to his head, but he's already moved. So he wraps... Oh, wrong button. So he wraps around his head, and he's going to miss that shot because I know where that goes. That's what snipers typically do. He's going to hit him in the chest. Like, this is what happens. This is what happens when you try to overcompensate for movement that you were perceiving earlier, and then he stops moving. And so you thought he was going to keep moving to the left, and now you're like, oh, wait, shoot, I gotta move back. But you wrap around because your hand is naturally going to do a circular motion because that's how it works. And it's like, sniper outplayed.
Overwhelmingly, aim skill is the only skill you need as a sniper player.
Aim is king. And it's always the most difficult skill, too. Pyro and Soldier and Demo Man don't necessarily need the same amount of aim. But they're fine. Scouts need aim. We don't talk about them. Scouts are nasty when they have aim. Same with anybody equipping a shotgun, really. Engineers, you know. Medics with their crossbows, good aim, you know. Just heavies have good aim, you know. We're making aim a sniper exclusive problem. Should people not aim because everyone learned how to rocket jump? And rocket jumping is better than aiming?
This is why bots with the dumbest AI imaginable.
Don't compare real players to a bot. Don't even. That's insulting. No. That's not remotely comparable. Don't you dare.
Can still dominate as sniper.
He literally used bots as a support for his arguments. Oh my gosh. The only relevance to the conversation that the bots even have is they prove on a technical level what Sniper is capable of doing. Not what humans can do with Sniper. Good, he is slow, yeah. So maybe use that to your advantage. And I don't know, rush him.
In the world we live in, where first-person shooters are largely dominated by Call of Battlefield of Honor type games, Team Fortress 2 stands out as a game that feels uniquely fast. This isn't actually because of movement speed.
No, not really fast, just fresh.
Characters in Call of Duty can run faster than most characters in TF2, but that's just it. They can run faster. Most modern games will essentially segregate movement and shooting by using aim down sights
He's also been hitting a few body shots.
And sprint mechanics.
A lot of body shots.
This makes it so that you are either, for the most part, firing at people running in a straight line or standing still. And additionally, you don't have to account for your own movement while you're aiming.
So maybe just don't run in a straight line?
It sounds stupid, but moving while shooting is one of the biggest things that differentiates TF2 from modern video games. This creates a back and forth where you're not only trying to fire at your opponent, but you're also trying to dodge their attack.
That's a tough one to hit. See, he should be condemned for that.
You're not only trying
because he hits the shot just over the pole right there. That is a toughie. Because you've only got that crosshair's space on the head, and that's it. That is a really good shot.
To fire at your opponent.
Aim is king.
But you're also trying to dodge their attacks. And I don't think I can show you why this is true any better than Penguify did in his video. So I'm gonna steal a small clip of it.
To illustrate this, here are two scout players. If you stuck both of these players in an aim trainer, they'd probably get fairly similar scores. But one person is a CS player who's actually quite good at B-hopping but hasn't spent that much time with TF2
nuance.
yet. and the other is a TF2 veteran who's had world records in surf, b-hop, and rocket jumping, played multiple seasons at the highest level, and is a master of deceptive movement.
That is quite the comparison to make. That's not even comparable at that point because they come from two such vastly different backgrounds, and you're putting them both in an aim training server. Of course the CSGO player is gonna win, because every weapon in CSGO can headshot. Headshots are what's encouraged in that game because they die faster.
See if you can identify who was who.
The Scout is hitting a lot of his shots, but the rockets are doing some decent damage. Very good air shots. I would say that was from the competitive player, because I mean, if he was a competitive player and he knows the functions of rockets, he could probably hit those. But that's pretty consistent. I don't know. Maybe aim training actually draws some parallels with predicting movement. Soldier is winning a lot though, regardless. Okay, Soldier died. I'd have to call this Scout being the CS player. Way more consistent than the first guy. Way more consistent. And he gets really up in his face to get as much damage out of the bullets as he possibly can.
The untrained eye, it might look like I'm just whiffing all my rockets and dying, but each movement the second Scout player makes is calculated. From thousands of hours of playing, their movement is designed to bait me to fire a rocket somewhere and then move to safety.
Okay class, now that we know how important moving while shooting is to the identity of TF2, can we think of a...
Just because Sniper doesn't move very much does not mean he's a poorly designed class. Not every class needs to move very much. Geez, Heavy slows to a crawl when he fires his gun. He doesn't move at all, but we're not complaining about that and how, you know, how played properly he can actually annihilate 3 people before dying. Nope, not talking about that at all. This was not the point I thought he was going to make either. I thought he was going to talk about the actual CS player, but I guess I'll never know.
Class that doesn't move and shoot at the same time?
Spy. Spy also doesn't move and shoot at the same time very well at all. In fact, he barely moves to shoot at all. Because he has the same walking speed as Pyro, I think, right?
So while Sniper's movement
I don't see why he's making this an argument against him. This is literally an argument for him.
Speed might functionally be average, he ends up being a much slower class due to the fact he can't move and shoot
Good, so take advantage of that slowness
at the same time. And furthermore, Sniper also has the ability to slow the rest of the game down.
So does any other class within the hands of the right player and a good team. Wow, what do you know? People play to win. My gosh.
Sniper's extremely powerful burst damage but extremely terrible movement makes it so he's really terrible at taking ground but really good at holding ground.
Yeah, that's his job.
This leads to extremely stalemating games.
No. No. No, because if that was the case, Highlander competitive wouldn't work like that either. The sniper versus sniper duel is one of the most important facets of Highlander games, because whoever wins that duel pretty much guarantees his team like an extra 10% probability of control over the environment and the situation. Because it's so difficult to have the pressure of a sniper on your heads all the time that if the enemy sniper, if a sniper kills another sniper, the victorious sniper's team can rest easy until the enemy sniper respawns. And that's typically all the time it needs to make a pretty decent push. Like, Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons why Sniper is oftentimes hated in 6s.
Snipers never played in 6s except on the last point when there's like no other options. I played on a 6s team before. You play as 2 soldiers, 2 scouts, a medic, and a demo man for the majority of the game, and then on the last point of like process do you bring out a sniper and an engineer maybe just to try and get some kind of defense going, and most of the time it doesn't even work because everybody moves too fast. Snipers never played in 6s. Snipers played in Highlander.
Yeah, because if the
Oh,
TV...
shoot. Wrong button. I have a different audio file.
It oftentimes feels like Sniper is playing a completely different game than the rest of the players.
I think this about every class. Every class is playing their own game dependent on the situation and who they are fighting. So, yeah, playing a different game is a good thing, and yeah, that's kind of why it's such a beautiful game, you know? Because it all fits together.
Because Sniper's best counter is himself, it puts him in the awkward position of having to focus on other snipers in the match before anyone else.
Which is great because that distracts him from you playing as almost any other class coming in to flank him. A scout or a soldier could move behind the dead riverbed over there and come up behind him while he's hard scoped. If he's not listening, because sometimes, actually half of the time, snipers aren't listening, and they can come in and destroy him because he's not going to be able to quickscope them. Not in a shed like that. And even in open spaces, it's really difficult because you're going to whip out your SMG and soldier will bomb you in, scout will still shoot at you with his primary. It's like, take advantage of the sniper's distraction. He can't shoot all of you at once. He's not a bot. My gosh.
So let me ask you this. If your team has 3 snipers and the enemy team has 3 snipers, which, let's be real, is not that uncommon of a scenario.
Depends on the map. It greatly depends on the map.
All the snipers in the match will basically only be targeting
Wait, he said, let me ask you this, and now he's making a statement.
each other the entire time.
Yeah. So take advantage of their distraction. That's why Harvest is actually a really fun map. Because taking advantage of sniper distractions is the best.
And this leads to what I like to call the sniper minigame effect, where because snipers are only focused on shooting other snipers, they're not actually contributing to whether their team wins or loses.
That's like saying, yes, they are. By killing the enemy team, they are contributing to the benefit of their team. You can make this argument about a team trying to rally together to destroy a wrangled sentry. Okay, that's a mini-game effect too, but it's certainly a lot more feasible. Not that it's more feasible, it's just feasible, because it's... You figure it out.
They just play their point-and-click adventure game until the round ends. This is one of the reasons why in Shonik's video where they straight up just remove Sniper, it feels like almost nothing changes.
No, everything changed. The gameplay was really boring to watch because everyone operated with no risk of death at all. There was no chance that they could possibly be challenged in an environment that challenged their brain to think past the length of their own nose. That I hated that video. It seemed incredibly disingenuous.
And I can't think of a single class where that would also be true for them.
Spy, maybe. That was the last one. Better be.
In conclusion, I think that sniper mains are kind of weird. Not that they're bad people or anything, they're just kind of weird. I mean, you're playing a game that's known for its movement, team play, and close quarters focus. As the class...
No. They're playing a game that's known for dynamics. Most of which are through movement, yes, but that's not all of them.
class that is quintessentially the opposite of all of those mechanics. I'd understand if you played him sometimes, or
Pyro doesn't have very much movement options. Why are you making this out to be that Sniper is the only one? Pyro doesn't nearly have the amount of mobility options that Scout, Soldier, or Demo Man can possibly have. I mean, heck, even Engineer, but it costs him a lot of health.
in close quarters focus, as the class that is quintessentially the opposite of all of those mechanics.
Boo-hoo, he's not close quarters.
I'd understand if you played him sometimes, or if you just started playing the game and Sniper was easy for you to learn. But if TF2 is your favorite game, and you main Sniper...
Are you telling me that I should play the game a certain way because you want me to? Screw you.
That's strange, isn't it?
No, it's not. I like the class. The class functions well. It keeps the game interesting. You don't have this this lack of risk of stepping outside. You are playing a game where everything is going to throw itself at you in order to make sure you die. Your job is to survive all of that, regardless of how unfair it may seem, regardless of how much it hurts your ego.
Other games have snipers, and they're better, they're more rewarding, they're easier. Why are you playing this one?
Yeah, sniping in other games is a lot easier and a lot more rewarding and a lot easier to do with a lot of other weapons. Sniper in this game is a lot harder because he only has one weapon that can do that. And it's exclusive to him. That should be all the limitation you need.
Sniper is the black sheep of Team Fortress 2.
There is no black sheep.
He's the one that doesn't fit in. And that's why he's hated. He is the anti-TF2 class.
This is the same argument that people will make in regards to Jigglypuff being anti-melee in competitive melee and melee in general. Because a game is known for its movement and its skill ceilings and its high stuff. And meantime, there's Jigglypuff, who's only aerially mobile, kind of, and is very weak, very easily destructive, but has this one move that can destroy a lot of people at low percentages. And that is her redemption. And that is what keeps her in contention with all the other characters in Smash Melee. This is literally just Smash Melee, but in Team Fortress 2.
He is the black sheep. And much like the black sheep, I have been pulling the wool over your eyes this entire time. The concept that Sniper is the most fundamentally different class in TF2 is an idea I have heard many times over. And frankly, it's just not true. While all the problems I listed earlier in the video are definitely true, they are not isolating Sniper from the rest of the cast. I'll re-go over the examples I said earlier, but this time adding the additional context of classes that also break those rules.
This is new for an anti-sniper video. I'm interested to see where this goes.
Yes, Sniper does have the best range in the game, but arguing that this is even remotely the biggest break in game design when you have classes that can disguise as other classes and classes that set up turrets is ridiculous. Every class in the game has the thing they do that no other class can compete with them on. Sniper's is range. It is very true that Sniper has no hard counters.
False. False!
But you know who else doesn't have any hard counters? The most popular class in...
False. False. Every class counters Soldier. Every class. Well, except maybe Medic.
The game. And despite what people tell you, Sniper does have a lot of reasonable counterplay. Using weapons like the Vaccinator or the Enforcer, yes, this is the one scenario where it's good, can actually make playing Sniper really frustrating.
Definitely. Playing against Vaccinator Medics is hard as Sniper, dude.
Okay, this one is a pretty big problem, actually. But notably, Sniper again is not the only class that can do this. Demo Man is a class designed to be really weak in super close range. Soldier and Scout are classes designed to be really good in close range. But as Demo, if you manage to hit all your shots in close range,
Really?
you can manage to kill them before they kill you. I have heard often the sentiment that Sniper is a one-trick pony. I would however argue that weapons like the Huntsman and Sydney Sleeper provide more variety than some entire classes get.
Truly.
Seriously, look me in the eye and tell me what the alternate Scout playstyle is that isn't just using a really bad weapon and memeing. Do I have to say it? Do I really have to say it? But even moving past Heavy, this might be a slightly longer section, but it has always annoyed me how people try to boil down TF2 into a speed game. Wow.
You have this entire video by saying that he doesn't conform with the mobility options that every class has. Which also isn't true because Medic doesn't even have mobility options. He has the quick fix, which sucks most of the time because the overheal isn't nearly as much as most people desire.
While 3 of the 9 classes in the game heavily utilize movement mechanics as a core aspect of their toolkit, the others don't. What happened here is what always happens when it comes to TF2 Discord. Someone talks about the TF2 competitive scene, they make a statement that is true for competitive, and then a bunch of viewers who watched the video decided it also applied to the rest of the game. Throw in just a pinch of misunderstanding and presto. This is how we got from such hits as Scout is the best 1v1 class to Scout is the best 1v1 class. That means no matter what situation he's in, no matter what disadvantage state he's in, he should be able to always beat the other class in a 1v1. You see,
No one's saying that. It's all a matter of skill. Competitive players just have a higher skill than most people, so they're used as examples typically for the extreme cases for people's arguments, because if an argument is meant to work, it should work when taken to its logically conclusive extreme. And competitive is a pretty good place to test that extreme.
the competitive TF2 is definitely very movement-centric. The casual TF2 is only movement-centric for some of the classes.
Yeah, same with competitive. It's not nearly as movement-centric for the classes that don't have movement options.
There is no word more misused in the TF2 community than stalemate.
Quickscope is more misused.
Now, I love Uncle Dane, but this is largely his fault for saying things like this.
So the first thing I want to talk about, stalemates.
Stalemate.
Seems like the major frustration aimed at certain maps usually boils down to the phrase, it's too stalematey. Typically, these maps have extremely difficult to push choke points, limited flank options, perfect sentry spots,
Yeah, but it can still work.
oppressive sniper sightlines, or easily spammable areas that just prevent teams.
Any area is spammable if you spam it. I don't know where people get off thinking, oh, stuff is too spammable. It's like, oh, so it can be shot in more. Wow, it's like you're supposed to shoot there.
From maintaining a foothold long enough to coordinate an offensive maneuver.
Uncle Dane, I love you, I really do. But none of these maps have stalemates. You see, these are all attack, defend, or payload maps. The only two game modes that actually have stalemates are capture the flag and control points. What so many people describe
Maybe just capture the flag
as a stalemate in this game is just red winning. The teams not being able to move forward is not a flaw with the game. It's literally just the goal of one of the teams.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. People conflate proper defense with stalemating, and it's like, no, the defense is just holding the line like it should.
I've heard it argued that Sniper's not really playing TF2, but rather a sort of sniping minigame inside of TF2.
I've never heard this
but
argument
I would
before,
argue this sort of game within a game idea applies way more to classes like Medic, Spy, and Engineer. For me, one of the reasons why Spy and Engineer are two of my favorite classes in the entire game is that they play so uniquely compared to any other class that it does honestly feel like you're just playing a completely different game.
Probably why Spy mains can't play a single other class. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, no, I'm glad he brought that up, because, yeah, Engineers and Spies totally play a different game. They are in their own world, I swear. That's what makes them so cool. Like Sniper.
Now, you might be asking, if Sniper isn't the most different TF2 class, then who is?
Different compared to what? What does that mean?
In order to find out, you have to do what I call the 8-class test. If 8 of the 9 classes were playable on release, but the 9th was added 10 years later as a DLC character, which class would make people the most angry? And it's really hard to tell what the answer for this is, but it's definitely not Sniper. The answer...
You don't need to be sarcastic.
Is probably Spy, Engineer, or Medic.
Oh, I thought he was being sarcastic. Honestly, I think Demoman. I wouldn't mind Spies so much. Engineer, maybe. Medic, I don't know. Healing sounds cool. I think Demoman would be the most annoying.
Spy changes the way you interact with literally every teammate. Engineer would cause a massive dramatic shift to the pacing of the game. And Medic would change the balance of literally every other class. But
everyone can complain about everything.
We don't think of these classes being against the core of TF2 simply by how much they changed the game from their presence alone. It seems like every TF2 YouTuber tries to define the lightning in the bottle that was caught by TF2, and they've come up with many different answers.
Lightning that was caught with Sniper alongside them, and it's functioned this way with no complaints until quite recently. Because it is very hip to complain about Sniper. Because you're bad.
Mobility, high burst damage, close range. But these always have massive glare.
He's also doing a very risky thing playing Sniper right now, where he is in front of his team. Granted, there's not that many people on the game, so it's not entirely...
And if you ask me, that's by design. There's a reason for that. If you ask me, the real thing that separates TF2 from the rest of the crop is this.
See? That is how difficult it is to play Sniper at medium to close range.
And there's a reason for that. If you ask me...
That is how to outmaneuver Sniper. Juke him out with Scout. This is how you counter him.
The real
you miss one shot,
the real thing that separates TF2 from the rest of the crop.
And only on the third shot did you hit it, and if you back it up, the flick happened so quickly, you barely catch the frame where he was actually hit, and it doesn't even look like he hit his head. It looks like he hit the back of his shoulders. Like, aside from the latency taking forever to kick in for that. That is how difficult it is to play Sniper. Get close. Just get close. Figure out how to get close.
The crop is this: unwavering commitment to class specification. This is the reason that despite Overwatch having 2 billion characters, none of them feel nearly as unique as Spy and Engineer feel in Team Fortress 2.
Rip
TF2 goes the full mile when designing a class. The slow tank that hits hard is extremely tanky, extremely slow, and hits ridiculously hard.
This is the same thing that people say about Sniper, but yeah.
The healing character doesn't just heal, he overheals. The builder class doesn't just build a turret and play like a normal class. No, he builds a turret, upgrades it, and has 2 additional other support buildings. The speed-based class doesn't have an occasional burst of speed. No, they are constantly fast always.
Yep.
The Trapper character does not have 1 or 2 planted explosives. He has 8. This is what keeps TF2 feeling so fresh. Because if you ever get bored, you can just play a different class and it feels like you're playing a different game.
Yep.
While in a lot of other games, it just feels like you're doing the same.
And that's why Sniper should always exist, because he is the last different game to add into the game. The only other game after all the other 8 classes are in is a long-range game. That is why Sniper exists.
Same task, just better or worse. This is why I don't think Sniper being extremely different from the other TF2 classes makes him a bad TF2 class, because being extremely different is what TF2 classes are about. The idea that Sniper is somehow an anti-TF2 class has always been just a scapegoat. There's really only ever been 2 real reasons people hate Sniper, and they've just intertwined over the years. And the first reason goes back to good old-fashioned skill invalidation. While Sniper being really different from other TF2 classes doesn't make him anti-TF2, it does make him ripe for skill invalidation. Because of TF2's focus on spray and pray and AoE effect weapons,
which you could honestly argue is a fault of the game design, but it's not. It's just different skills, different jobs to do.
the community just straight up doesn't care as much about aim as most other shooter communities.
Very much true. That's why good snipers are crapped on so much, because it's like all of a sudden if somebody from another game picks up a sniper and is like really good at it, and people are like, oh, how dare you be good at aiming? It's like, what, you're not? Okay.
So a character like Sniper, who on the surface looks like he relies solely on aim and literally nothing else, can be fairly easily hated, especially when compounded by the second reason people hate Sniper. While we all like to think that we're able to tell the difference between Sniper, the playable character, and Sniper, the exploitable tool used by hackers, the truth is, we can't really that well.
I do. Most other people seem to not care enough to, and it's sad.
Like, sure, all the problems with Sniper I've stated earlier in the video definitely existed before the bot crisis, but they were nowhere near the ubiquitous.
No, because people were better back then. People played better, and they didn't cry so much.
They are today. The steep rise in Sniper hate correlated.
You don't get victories handed to you. That's my point.
Almost directly with the bot crisis. Well, that and the map Whatville, obviously.
I love playing Whatville just because of how just absurdly stupid it is to play on. It's so bad it wraps back around to being good. Hilarious. Doesn't even fit the art style of TF2, but I don't care. It's hilarious.
And all this hate makes a lot of sense. For a while, bots were completely shutting down like almost every server you went to. And while bots have existed for other classes, they have been nowhere near as bad as Sniper. Yeah. And a lot of that is, again, due to the way Sniper was designed. It is considerably easier to make a bot that just has...
That's not the fault of the Sniper. Just stuff can be exploited. Doesn't matter what kind of weapons you really use in CSGO or CS2. You know, hosting bots, you can cheat using pretty much whatever weapon you want to a pretty good effectiveness, you know?
Has to aim when compared to a bot that needs to have some sort of aim sense to work. There was a sense that if Sniper didn't exist, this bot crisis wouldn't be a crisis, it would just be a mild inconvenience. And while I never really hated Sniper, if I had to choose between keeping Sniper and saving TF2...
Whoa! That's not... Whoa! That's extreme. Buddy. Now you're making it seem like Sniper needs to be removed in order to save the game. Whoa.
Well, that's not a very hard decision to make for me. Since sniper bots were basically ending TF2 for a while, the community were looking for any reason to hate sniper in general. And while you could logically say you don't hate sniper, you hate bots, it's unfortunately standard human behavior to hate things just because of a loose connection to another thing you.
Well, then don't make the loose connection. Don't be the bad human being. If you're consciously aware of it, don't.
Hey, this is why you'll get things like anti-woke politicians hating tofu or avocados for no other reason than they're vaguely things that left-leaning people eat. And
that makes no sense at all. Nobody's saying that is valid either. I'm not saying that. That's really funny to watch because of how stupid it is, though. I'm playing tic-tac-toe by myself. That's how lonely I am. Sniper main go burr. And what do you know? I lose. Cat's game.
If you're thinking, wow, I can't believe this got political at the 12th hour, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Why are these foods political? And the answer is, they're working backwards. People hate Sniper, the tool used by hackers, so they'll find any reason to hate Sniper, the playable character. Other than Sniper being an anti-TF2 class, the only other reason really given for why people hate Sniper is that he's unfun to play against.
Yeah, if you choose to not have fun, it's all about your attitude towards it, man. I find demo nights to be the most unfun to play against, regardless of what class I'm playing, but that don't mean jack. Skill issue still.
And I just think this is a kind of biased conversation to have, because when you think about the times you play against Sniper, you only really think about the times you die. Sniper is honestly so easy to kill at close range, you don't even really think about it. And the truth of the matter is this, every class is annoying if you only think about the times they killed you.
Yep.
You don't even consider how often they improve your gameplay experience by being essentially free kills. And while you might think removing one annoying class would make the game better, that's a very slippery slope to go down, because if you remove every class you think is annoying, likely there's gonna be like one or two classes left.
No classes left
In the game. Now that I've been waffling for quite a while defending Sniper, it might surprise you that I do actually support several changes to make Sniper more fair to play against.
There's no changes that need to be needed. You just have to bring all the weapons from the Jungle Inferno nerfs back to the way they were beforehand, and then you're fine. Oh, did I? Oh. My internet died. One moment. Okay, I'm back.
Actually support several changes to make Sniper more fair to play against.
Oh, video's not buffering though. Oh, it changes. Just bring all the weapons from Jungle Inferno nerfs back to the way they were to promote more creative play styles and not to bolster an environment of one particular play style, competitive players. Like, I don't mind playing competitive. I think it's great. I think it improves your skill in certain areas. I do not think it should have been the main focus of an update to tank everything that it possibly could in order to just encourage people to play it that one particular way. That completely goes against the rest of the way TF2 has existed for a long time. So, honestly, I think instead of making people worse, like nerfing Sniper, I think you should just make every class better. Stop bringing people down. Bring everybody else up. That's what I say.
Because again, the issues I laid out earlier are real. I just don't.
No, they're not.
Don't agree with the framing that this makes him the least TF2 class. Sniper, the class, is overpowered. While in 6's the official TF2 competitive game mode, he might not be nearly the best class.
He's barely even played.
Cannot be said for Highlander, the competitive game mode that much more closely mirrors casual TF2. In this game mode, he is arguably the second best class behind Medic, who's kind of just the best by default by being the only class who can heal, and he doesn't really count. Because of this, I do think some nerfs are in order. Usually, I think the best way to nerf a class is to give it a bunch of small nerfs that compound to make the class overall worse. But
see, in this clip,
I do think some nerfs are.
He doesn't go for the quick scope. He actually
Usually,
goes for the melee.
I think the best way to nerf a class is to.
He then, from medium range, tries to
give
hit
it
the
a
spy,
bunch of
misses because it's too difficult of a shot, and then the spy gets blown up by a rocket anyways.
small nerfs
And the heavies
that
just
compound to make
mob
the
away
class
the other
overall
scout.
worse, but also not
So the sniper didn't do jack.
changing the
And that distracted him
core of the
enough
class.
to die.
This is the approach the
That's how you counter sniper, ladies and gentlemen. You distract him.
TF team took with Demo Man, who is the most nerfed class in the game. Core character traits like health, fire rate, and base damage have not been changed at all. Rather, they've made smaller, less notable changes to damage ramp up and blast radius. Also, stickies used to be impossible to remove. I don't know why that was ever a thing in the game, but it was. One YouTuber who I've covered quite a bit in the past, Fish Stick on a Stick, has made a lot of good balancing decisions for Sniper. He made Sniper 2, which I think gives him a lot of credibility. The first change is simple. The reserve ammo was cut to 16, which...
That's dumb. The ammo count for sniper never really mattered because as long as you're close to an ammo pack, it doesn't really matter. That's not going to help you at all, really.
Which is a good nerf, but also not that interesting. The second nerf is the most major nerf. The sniper rifle now has a magazine size. You can only fire 4 bullets before having to commit to a lengthy reload. This promotes a more sniper-like way of playing, where you're not just firing willy-nilly, you're purposely taking calculated shots.
Sorry, what?
To a lengthy magazine size. You can only fire 4 bullets before having to commit to a lengthy reload. This promotes
what?
A more sniper-like way of playing, where you're not just firing willy-nilly, you're purposely taking calculated.
You've literally been complaining about snipers fire willy-nilly anyway. Any sniper in any game.
Shots. Counting your shots also becomes an effective counterplay for the enemy team.
What?
The third and final change made to Sniper is the most obvious. If you asked an uncontacted Amazonian tribe what one nerf Sniper from Team Fortress 2 should receive, every member would give the same answer. Give the idiot tracer rounds.
It'd be okay. Just as long as they're like clear and like not team colored and like kind of like the way Team Fortress 2 Classic does it. I don't like it. I think it's dumb. I think it's cope. It's kind of disdainful. I don't like it.
Sniper's ability to be functionally anywhere has always been one of his greatest strengths. Adding tracer
Not anywhere. Not anywhere.
rounds would drastically cut down on the guesswork required to fight against a sniper. It would also fix a lot of the issues that come from his character overlap with Spy.
There is no character overlap, you idiot.
While we may be out of fish on a stick changes, there is one more change I would personally like to see to Sniper. In my personal opinion, my biggest issue with Sniper more than anything is his ability to invalidate his own weaknesses, i.e. killing you at close range faster than you can kill him.
Completely ignoring how difficult it is after mentioning how difficult it was because he needs to prove his point. Jeez.
Considering that the TF2 team doesn't even think he should be able to do this.
No.
On the flip side, we need to ensure it cannot be snap-fired from the hip with the same effect.
It's so difficult to do that.
I can't think of a single balancing reason for why this shouldn't already be in the game.
See, if you really thought Sniper was that overpowered...
On the flip side, we need to ensure it cannot be snap-fired from the hip with the same effect.
I can't
If you really thought Sniper was that overpowered and easy
think
to
of
play,
a single
you would have hit that shot.
Balancing reason for why this shouldn't already be in the game. Now the easiest way to fix this issue would be to add reverse damage fall off, i.e. the sniper rifle does less damage at super close range. This solution is stupid though. Generally, I think you should avoid doing what I like to call number fuckery, and this is a really good example of number fuckery. Number fuckery can easily be described as when you change specific damage numbers in really specific circumstances. Good example, Overwatch tanks taking less headshot damage than any other category. You would never know that was true unless you heard it from an outside source. What I believe to be the better solution is to add scope drop. Scope drop is a mechanic in many games where if you take enough damage, you will unscope out of your sniper rifle automatically. I think around
the flinch already does just fine.
60 damage over the course of 3 seconds is a pretty good number. This would make it so a sniper could still quickscope headshot you from close range, but only when you make a mistake, because that's how classes.
If he quickscopes you, he's either really good or you actually did make a mistake anyways.
Should be balanced if they're in a disadvantageous spot. Remember, assuming equal skill, every class should be able to beat sniper in close range.
No. No, they should not. Because that is not the job of every class. The job of every class is to do different things. It is not everybody else's job to encounter sniper. You do not have to communize this by making everyone do the exact same thing equally. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Give Heavy a rocket launcher while you're at it.
Range. And speaking of, this would also allow for Sniper's first actual class counterpick. With this change, Spy could finally counter one of the classes.
He can counter him, you blithering idiot.
He's designed to counter. In conclusion,
I only ever see one Razorback sniper every 100 to 200 rounds. They're not even that rare because people like the comfort of having an SMG in case they need to get out of a pinch. That's the drawback to using the Razorback, is that you don't have the SMG. Most people don't sacrifice that. If it really was that easy to just get rid of Spy, everyone would use the Razorback, but they don't. Not everybody. Not even close. Not even close to half the people use the Razorback.
I hope you learned something from this video. If you don't like my specific changes I'd like to see to Sniper, that's fine. I don't care that much. I know I learned something. I learned that I vastly underestimated how long this video is going to be.
Yeah, me too.
You better subscribe. This video is 47 minutes long. You are required to subscribe. I put in enough effort that YouTube is now forcing you to subscribe. Don't look into that. Subscribe right now.
Don't look into that. Oy, 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 oy. Okay, well, that was a bit of a nightmare. And now I can finally say that I'm done reacting to that video.